We are indeed recording. Well, that last map. What a map. First thoughts on the map was called, what was it? Heaven Can Wait. But that was what it was. It was Heaven Can Wait 2. Well, my first thoughts was at least it started well.
Yeah, it actually started as an enjoyable map. What it ended as was pain.
Yeah. There's a couple of problems. Started to notice it was like it played like it should have been for Left 4 Dead 2. It implemented melees and did everything right. It got some progression to it. It was doing fine. But then I noticed something different. Like I had played this map before, but I know I never have. Like some places just like this feels familiar. Like I have done this thing, and I don't know if it's because I played Left 4 Dead 2 a lot.
Well, I did see, like, the hotel felt a lot like the one from
Dark
Dark
Carnival.
Carnival, yeah.
Yeah, there's some similarities, although I believe that was a different one for sure. I didn't notice it that way. It was more or less when we got to the city parts, I started noticing this. Why does this feel familiar? Like, why does this feel like I've done this particular part of the map before?
Because it's using nothing but the
Well, it's not that it
standard
was.
stuff from.
Well, it's not what they were. It was just the way it was laid out. Like I had done the same movement before. Like this is the same way to get through this entire city before. Like they took a copy of another map and pasted it exactly. Like it didn't change. So it was like the same route to get through the fucking thing. So it felt like I was doing it before and like I knew what I was doing. But outside of that, this map got progressively difficult as time went, which most maps tend to do. I mean, start is really easy, the end is really hard. Problem is, this progression seemed like it took a difficulty spike somewhere along the lines. Because I swear, part 1 was the easiest we ever got to. Part 2, it felt more on the normal side of things. Then part 3, suddenly, it went from difficulty of normal to advanced. Because that's when we started dying.
And
this map is kind of like a really well polished turd. In the distance, it looks like it's a shiny rock, but when you get up close, it's a pile of shit.
Okay. It was part 3 when we got started dying, but we got past it. Part 4, again, started dying, but we died more times.
which, it is difficulty progression.
Yeah, it's difficulty progression, and we got through it. But it wasn't the fact that it's just like I looked at how many we killed, both melee and non-melee. Part 1, I killed about 70. Everybody was around average. Part 2 was about the same. Part 3, we had double that. Part 4 was about the same as Part 3. Now, Part 5, which is the finale, you tend to kill maybe 200 apiece at least, almost. But it felt like we had about 500 coming at us, and it wasn't just normal zombies. There was the uncommon zombie, which was the armored zombie. For every 5 zombies, it felt like there was 2 armored around the corner.
And in the whole map, they used a lot of uncommon, like, wasn't it like the third part? There was like a shit ton of construction workers, and like the third, there were like mudmen.
Well, I guess
No, second part, there was like mudmen.
the construction workers fit theme for the area, though.
Yeah, they were fitting for theme. That's fine. And hell, the armored zombies were fitting within theme. And I give kudos for putting it in the theme, but there's also a point where you should spawn them not as frequent.
It's the armored zombies that was annoying.
Yeah, that's what got us the most. And you put them in the worst place, which is the finale. But it wasn't just uncommon being spawned so frequently. It also was the specials. It got progressively more. Again, this is
like one part I had 11 specials.
But I mean, I know that's normal for most maps, but this one felt like it was pushing more and more, like it was doubling it almost every single time. And the finale alone just felt like, fuck, there's more than one fucking smoker, and there's so many places to hide for the smoker. The hunters...
And the low visibility.
Well, yeah, and then you also have this jockey, which has a lot of places where you don't notice it at first. Like, I barely hear it, but at the same time, it's right around the corner. And I didn't even know it was there, and suddenly jockeyed.
Actually, when I was down, I saw it right under you, and then when you went over, it got you.
Yeah, it was stuff like that. You don't see it with the low visibility, with the fact that it's raining, the fact that there's thunder and lightning all over the place. Because that affects vision. It's difficult as hell to figure out what to do. Like, okay, you gotta get through this fast, because you know you gotta get to the finale. You gotta get that started, because you want to make sure you have enough health. But then, once you get there, there's not enough health. That was a big thing. There was only one med pack in that whole place until we opened the second door.
Yeah, and I think the bot wasn't able to handle the armored zombies too much because it would always get knocked down because of the armored zombies.
Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't use melees.
I implore having difficulty. I implore, especially for having progressive difficulty. That's what maps how it should work. But this case seemed like they were trying to spike the difficulty even further than what it's supposed to be. There's a sense of balance in the first 3 parts. Then part 4 felt like it was a little unbalanced, but you can get through it. But part 5 is where the balance just kind of went off the rocker.
If anything, part 4 felt like finale difficulty.
Yeah, I'll agree to that.
Yeah.
And the way it was situated going on to that thing, that little train, that would have been perfect for a finale. It felt like, okay, this might be the finale, but no, you still had that one more extra part you had to add in, and it just, you know, it fell flat.
It was a bit too much waiting around.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand what you're going for, but having to wait for 3 things to slowly activate like that. Because you had to wait for the first door to slowly close, and the second door, which I think was slightly slower, and then you had the elevator that had to rise up to you.
Right. It was just like, oh god, there's this. On top of that, any health packs that we found, we found 1 or 2. All the health packs were back at the fucking safe room that we came out of. There are like 6 there. You could have taken easily 2, or maybe even possibly 3, and spread them out. But I didn't see any. I mean, I always seen a shit ton of pills and adrenaline. Well, that's great and all, but we gotta stay at this point right here, and you only throw us 1 med pack per door. That's not right. It felt like it was pushing us to the extremes, and even if we did persevere through it, it was still fucking difficult. It was still way underbalanced, and it got to a point where it was too fucking overwhelming. And it's just because of the uncommon, it was because of the specials, and they were the only ones that were doing it effective. The common, yeah, that's fine. They felt balanced. The uncommon didn't. The specials especially didn't. There's some problems with that.
And the number of tanks we fought.
We fought 1 tank per map. Well, per part of this map.
It felt like it was more, though.
It did, yeah. I counted 1 tank per part, and figuring there was probably 2 tanks for the finale. There should only be about 6 tanks in total. Still, they were there. Part 1 had it, part 2, part 3, every fucking one, and it being the worst place ever. So, yeah. There's a lot of unbalancing issues that need to be adjusted. Tanks shouldn't spawn so frequently. Common is fine, but uncommon needs to drop down, especially in the finale. That is way too many armored zombies, because I swear there was 5 of them at one point on me, and I couldn't get rid of them. So anyway, you guys have anything to add to that before we get to the star ratings?
Not really.
I think we did good.
Okay. Alright. In order, it will be Kyo, then Dread, then myself, like always. I'm always last. 5 stars max, 1 star minimum. Number of infected, Kyo. What'd you think?
Well, it was good for half the map,
Okay.
but then the other half, as we've already discussed. So, I'm gonna give it half a star.
Seems fair. Okay, Dread?
I'll give it a quarter because it just seems so messed up.
Okay, and I'll agree with you, Dread. The balance, it was really overwhelming. It felt really really underwhelming in the first half, but the second half just was so overwhelming to the point that it didn't seem fair. The finale is the one that needs the most work on this balance issue. That's it. We've mentioned it in what we've had in our first thoughts. Moving on to length. I clocked this. We were playing this for an hour and a half for a 5-parter. So, Kyo, what'd you think?
It feels long, way too long actually for a 5-part map.
Okay.
I'll give it 2 stars.
0?
0.
Okay. Dread.
I'm gonna give it a 0 too. It felt really dragged out with all the waiting, especially towards the end.
Alright. I agree with both of you guys. It is 0. Finale is way too long. It's a lot of standing, a lot of nothing happening, and then all of a sudden here comes all the things. Part 4 felt incredibly long to a point where even trying to find a hero closet for me took near to the end of the goddamn map to find me. There was a lot of slowdown. A lot of us because a lot of us didn't have health. We were running slow, and you don't throw health at us. It's just, you're making your map too long for its own good. At most, this should have been about an hour-long map. It took us an hour and a half. This is with restarts. Even without them, it's still an hour and 15 minutes. No. It was not fun because of that. Moving on to difficulty fitting. Kyo, what'd you think about the difficulty?
Difficulty. It was good for half the map. And even the finale, I feel... I don't know about the finale. I mean, it had the progression and all that. It probably should have ended at 4 instead of having progression all the way to 5. I'll give it half a star.
Okay. Dread?
I'll only give it a quarter because only the first 2 parts seemed okay.
Okay. I'm gonna go a little bit weird on this. I'm gonna give it 3/8. I think it's better than a quarter, but it's not quite a half star for me. My reasoning is that I agree with Dread. Is that the first 2 parts fairly balanced, very fair, and then you get to part 3 where the first half of it was quite fair, and then the second half of it was just brutal. And then ever since then it just fell really far down in the unbalancing and everything. So that is something that need to be adjusted. Another thing is you need hero closets popping up more often than you did. You only had 2 in that whole entire part. There should have been at least 4.
Or at least defibs.
Yeah, there's defibs that should have been around. Health in general should have been around. Another thing would have been well, it's not so much on ammo. It's just the fact that you need to slower down you gotta cut some of that map down in size. It is far too long in part 3. A lot of zigzagging patterns, just trying to get that through the city or even down the places in part 4. There's a lot of problems. it felt like it was getting progressively too long each part. Like we were now going another quarter more feet from the previous one. So whatever, how many distance is that? We add another quarter of that to it in each one, and then the finale, it was just too fucking long to really substantiate a balance of fighting. There's not enough health there, and when you had the health, it was all in the safe room. The ammo, fine. The pipe bombs are fine. Everything else is fine. You just didn't have any health. So how are we supposed to survive? On top of that, the armored zombies being the uncommon that is there and spawning way too frequent. Specials aren't as effective unless you have that other factor, which is the uncommon being too much of a factor for us. It's becoming overwhelming at that point. And we tried 3 times. We managed to get to the second door being taken down. We were lucky to get that far. I'm amazed we even got that, because the first 2 times we didn't even get down that far. So yeah, it's not the balance is the big problem here, and you need to do that ratio a lot better as the progression is. Given the progression is fine, you have that progressive difficulty being fine. It's just getting too overwhelming now. After part 3, it gets way too far to that overwhelming stage, and it should never go that far.
Do we know if this map has been play tested?
I'm sure it has. I know it's complete.
Because if you're gonna have people play test your map, you should probably have people that don't play only expert to play test the map.
Yeah.
Because I like people that play expert all the time would probably breeze through this.
Well, yeah, they would, because they know what to do and take the risks. Another thing, I know this is a port. This is a big thing. The port, I can't even imagine how people got through it in Left 4 Dead. Because they didn't have melees. That's a big thing. How the fuck did they get past that part? And if they ever completed it. But anyway, moving on to design. Keo, what'd you think about the design of this map?
Boring.
Okay, so is that a flat out 0?
Boring, unimaginative, and it just felt like so many other maps.
Okay. So 0? That's what
Yeah,
I'm
let's give it a 0.
Okay. I don't want to put 0 down before I know for sure if it is. Dread, what'd you think about the design of this map?
I say 0 too, because it was really boring. There wasn't, and even if there was anything you could look at, you couldn't see it anyway because of all the rain and shit going on.
Okay. I agree. It is a 0. Like I said, it felt like I was playing another same exact map on a different that was named different. There was a lot of parts where it's just like, fuck, I played this before. I swear I have, but it's not. It's not the same map. There's some sense of creativeness. The finale is, I'm not gonna lie, somewhat creative in idea. It's not very well executed. A lot of it harps on the difficulty. The fact that you have armored zombies. If it was just normal common, I think we could have gotten through it pretty easily. There's that.
It's like almost as bad as the Jimmy Gibbs or whatever.
Armored zombies are close to Jimmy Gibbs. The only difference is that Jimmy Gibbs takes more fucking bullets, and you have to melee him to really kill him. Whereas the armored zombies, you can just turn it, you can punch them, go around their back, and kill them that way with guns and stuff like that.
Still felt almost.
Yeah, the armored zombies are the closest thing to Jimmy Gibbs that is still within